Can we start? It's continuing. Yeah. So backslash substitution is one way to ignore special characters. There are other ways as well. So these two ways, which we are going to see now, is called TCL quoting. Quotes, double quotes. The quotation is what this is. So the first way is by using double quotes. The same example which we saw here, we'll just review it again with the quotes. So if we use a double quotes, it disables word and command separators like space, tab, new line, and semicolon. So here a double quote is used. It gives this result. And if a double quote is used, it's going to ignore spaces, tabs, new line, and semicolon only. So here, if a special character like dollar has to be ignored, it again has to use backslash substitution here, only for the special character. And for the spaces, there's no backslash required. And if there is a semicolon, it's not required. And new line character can be used as it is. Okay. So it gives similar results where it prints X, then it does backslash substitution, prints the $2, the dozen, then the gasoline part goes to the next line because there's a new line character. Similarly, instead of double quotes, we can use braces, the curly braces. So it disables almost all special characters. So here, there's no need to use a backslash for the $2 as well, for the $1.5 as well. There's no need to use. So for a person who asked me doubt regarding what is getting ignored, why we have to do this. Actually, in this example itself, if you see, this $2, the dollar here means American dollars. We don't want to do a substitution here. So like this, we'll have, in many places, we'll just have to apply dollar as an American dollar. You don't want to do a variable substitution. So dollar in TCL means variable substitution. If you don't want to use a variable substitution, you want to use it as an American dollar to express an amount, you just have to use a backslash or any of these ways to ignore the variable substitution and print the cost of the eggs here, cost of gasoline here. You just want to apply it in that meaning. Okay. So coming back to the braces here. So in braces, there is no need to use backslash for any of the characters. Almost everything is disabled. If and can you mute yourself? I can hear some noises. Madhav, can you just see who it is? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am,
so,
I am muted in.
Okay. Yeah. When you're using braces, whatever is written inside the braces is printed as it is. It doesn't take any special meaning. So inside the braces from here to here, whatever has been written, it just prints the value exactly the same. Even the new line character is not there here. It's written in the next line, but still, if it has braces, it still takes it. Okay, it prints as it is. So TCL comments. Comments are very important when you're writing a long piece of code. As I said in the first slide itself, when you're writing a long piece of code, you don't know why you have written it in a particular way. You won't remember it after a longer time, or while finishing the code itself, you might forget what is the purpose of a value which you have added or any piece of line which you have added. So just for your understanding purpose, to add comments in your script so that your script is much presentable and readable. Okay, so there are two ways to comment in TCL. If you want to add a single line comment, this one particular line in the code has to be commented, then you can use an hash in the first place. Then this line is commented. It doesn't parse this line. It doesn't throw an error saying that this line has some word which is wrong or something, it doesn't even consider this line. It just keeps this line as it is because TCL considers this as a comment. If you want to comment multiple lines which are occurring together, line number 2, 3, 4, all lines together, in each and every line you can go and add an hash. But it's another way where you just have to write if 0 and then space or curly brace, put in all the lines which you want to comment and then close the curly brace. So everything which comes within these two curly braces are all commented. TCL doesn't go through these lines. So a best example for this is when you are trying to build a code, you're trying multiple things. You try a piece of code and it doesn't work, but you don't want to delete it. You don't want to remove and write a next piece. Just want to keep it, just comment and keep it because that can be useful later. You can refer it later. So a comment need not only have words like this, it can have TCL commands as well. If this puts hello world, you don't want to execute this, you can just add an hash in the front. It wouldn't execute it. It need not be words like this, my first program, or it is very simple. Such kind of comments also will be ignored. Even if it's a TCL command, it will also be ignored if there is an hash or if it is within if 0 statement. Yeah. Next, so TCL identifier. Identifier, as the name suggests, it is used to identify something which you're setting in your code. May it be a variable or a function or any user defined item. TCL has set of commands which are inbuilt, which we have to remember and use. But the variables are some things which we set while we are writing the code. We set A to B or whatever, set A to 2, 3. We do all those things. So those variables are all identifiers, which is used to identify something in your code. So there are certain rules which these identifiers have to follow. An identifier can, and TCL is very important to note that TCL is a case sensitive language. So if you have written something, if you've written name like this, and then later you try to invoke the name using a small n. If you say the spelling is same, TCL is not going to take this as same. It is case sensitive. If you used a capital M, you have to take back the variable using the same set of whatever caps or small cases which you have used. These two will not be same because TCL is case sensitive. Okay. So an identifier can start with any of the alphabets from A to Z, either in caps or in small. It can have caps or small, or it can start with an underscore. So anything you write as set, and then here the first letter can be A to Z, caps or small, or it can have underscore. So I can just write underscore A is equal to 2. So I can set something like this. This is still valid, or I can just set A to 2. This is valid, or I can set just A. Any of this is valid. I'm just talking about the first letter of your variable. Then from the second letter onwards, it can follow using any of the alphabets again, caps or small, or there can be underscore, or there can be a dollar symbol, or there can be any digits from 0 to 9. But dollar symbol or digits cannot be there as a first letter. It can follow after the first letter, but it cannot be there in the first place. Okay? Only letters, caps or small, or underscore can be the first letter of your variable. It can be followed by digits, letters, dollar symbol, and underscore. Okay? And a variable can be minimum just one letter, or it can be n number. There is no limitation. Your variable can be as long as you like. But the variable has to be a single word. It cannot have spaces. if you just set a variable, it cannot have spaces, but if you use a double quote or a curly brace, a variable can have spaces. What I mean to say is, if you just write set my name, if you just write my name and have a space in between, this is not allowed. But if you have a curly brace like this is still allowed. You can write your name here. Okay, or you can set, yeah, this is the way to set, but it's not a very much preferred way. We avoid such thing when we are writing a long piece of code. Instead, you can just put an underscore in between and make it as a single variable instead of having a space in between. Okay. Also, TCL does not allow punctuation characters such as at or percentages within the identifier. You cannot use any of these characters. Only whatever is listed here should be used while setting a variable. Okay, so these are all some valid variables. A, B, C. It's first rule it passes. It starts with any letter A to Z, caps or small, and then followed by any letters or numbers, anything. So this is also a valid variable that it starts with a letter. It can have underscores in the upcoming letters, and it can have even numbers. So 3 is also there. And this is also valid if it just has underscore A, B, C, 3. So these are all valid. If it starts with an underscore, it's still valid, but it cannot start with any other special character like dollar or at or percentage. But dollar still can be there if it's not your first letter. So these are certain things which you have to remember. And reserved words may not be used as constant or variable or any identifier names. So reserved words meaning TCL has certain commands. So you cannot just use set. Here the variable name cannot be set or the variable name cannot be puts. These are the two commands which we've seen earlier. So these are all already reserved in TCL. So you cannot just use it. Add something to it. If you really want to use a variable called set, just add an underscore in the front or in the last, then it would still be valid. But reserved words as it is cannot be used to set any variable. Yeah. Then white spaces. White spaces are important in TCL. Many times there will be errors if we don't use the white spaces in the right place. Okay, so white spaces meaning it describes blanks, tabs, and new line characters. So at least a single white space is required when we are writing a command. Between the command and the value or the variable, there should be at least one white space. So here, if you take an example of this command, puts expr 3 plus 2. So here, how does TCL identify the command to be executed as puts? Only if the put is followed by at least one white space, it understands. If you miss the white space, then it's an error. It doesn't understand. So here, after puts, one space is compulsory, and after expr, space is compulsory. But the space between 3 and plus or plus to 2 is not really compulsory because these are not commands. expr is a command, puts is a command, but these are all the digits which we give here. So TCL still understands 3 plus 2 if there is no space here, but next to a command, a white space, at least one space is required. More, it can be more than that as well, but one is compulsory. Let's look into variables and how to declare variables or what are the different types of variables and all. So in TCL, there is no concept of variable declaration. As in, if you want to declare a variable called A, you can just set it to any value. You don't have to say that A is a variable anywhere. If you just use the command set a to 2, it's going to take the value 2 to a and it's going to declare it as a variable. But in other languages, there are certain languages where you have to explicitly define it as a variable. But TCL, when you just use it anywhere in your code, you can just start using any variable anytime. You don't have to declare it in the front of the code or before using that variable. So once a new variable name is encountered, if you have a big piece of code, if you have set A, B, C, anytime when it encounters a new variable name, TCL will define it as a variable. You don't have to explicitly specify anywhere it is a variable. The name of variables can contain, okay, we know how to define a variable. We know the identifiers rules from the previous slides, right? So these are all the rules which has to be remembered when declaring a variable. And then, yeah, if you have a white space between a variable name, you can enclose it with curly braces, but it's usually not preferred because it is prone to error sometimes. We might miss it. It's better not to write that way. And to set any variable to any value, we know the command used is set. So this is the syntax of a set command. Set is the command followed by variable name and then followed by any value which you would like to set to the variable. Okay, so let's just see this piece of code here. Set variable A to 10. So automatically variable A takes the value 10 and set variable B to test. So till now, maybe we've seen only values which are integer. Values can be string as well. It can be any string. So here variable B has a space in between. So it has a curly brace to take this variable space B as one single unit. So puts is the command to print the variable's value. So puts $variable A would print an value of 10. And puts dollar, again, when you're setting a variable and using the variable anywhere, if it has a space, you have to enclose it within curly braces. So puts $variable B would print and value test. So the next comes another variable set sum, where we are evaluating the expression $variable A plus 20. So in the first parsing stage, tool would substitute variable A with 10 here. Then it evaluates 10 plus 20 as 30 and then prints the sum to be 30 when you print $sum. Okay, is that clear? Up to this, do you have any doubts? You can ask now. No doubts, it's all clear? Okay, then let's just continue. Okay. TCL supports two kinds of variables. Whatever we've seen earlier are all simple variables. It can also have associative arrays. Arrays are, if you're already aware of arrays are with a single name, but it can have multiple elements to it. We'll see by an example. So for now, simple variable is very clear, I guess. Let's go to, okay, maybe let's see some examples. I think in the chat, you people can just mention the answers for all these. We'll just test how much is the understanding, or if it's difficult, we'll just review it. Can you all do that? Just write the answers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. What would be set to B? What would be set to A? If such an command is used, what would be the value of these? Just try to think and write. Or if you are not able to understand something, you can even ask. Some answers. First one is 66. I think everyone are getting it right. Second one is B, right? Third one is 66. Yeah. Yeah, fourth one is just like that. So here, if you see, it has a space, it can have double quotes or it can have curly braces while defining this way. Okay, let's get into 5, 6, and 7. That's where we have to know how is the understanding. 5204. Interesting. Okay. I think don't waste your time adding these. It would not be like this. Let's look into 5, 6, and 7. So as I said, TCL interpreter substitutes the value in the parsing stage and then it applies the value in the execution stage. So here for 5, up to 4, I think everyone have got it. It's very simple. The 5, in the parsing stage, what happens is it tries to apply the value of these variables. So there is a dollar sign. It's a variable substitution. So must that an answer? Yeah. Okay. Rama Devi. That's kind of right. So set A to this, it'll try to parse the value. So first thing it does is it substitutes the variable B. So 66 plus 66 plus 66. This is what is evaluated in the parsing stage. Substitution happens. In the execution stage, do we have an EXPR command here? Only if there is an EXPR command with a rectangular brace like this value would be evaluated. Otherwise, this itself is the value. There is no command substitution here, so it doesn't evaluate. Okay, so the value, the answer for 5 is just 66 plus 66 plus 66. That's it. So can you guys try what would be the value for 6 and 7? You would have got an idea now. So 6 is 66.3. That's right. It's just going to substitute $B with 66.3. That's right. So what would be the answer for 7? That's not right. The answer for 7 is it would throw an error because it tries to apply $B4. It tries to see that this is the variable. It will try and check what would be the variable for B4, but there is no variable called B4. There is a variable called E. So it wouldn't apply any value. In these cases, there are other other expressions in between, but here it would take this entire thing as the variable name and try to fetch value for B4, but B4 is not set anywhere, so it would throw an error. Is that okay? Anyone has any discrepancy here? Fine, got it. 5, 6, and 7 is clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed further. So we know how to set a variable and sorry, someone has a doubt? Not able to hear you.
You can write in the chat box. Ma'am, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, so we know how to set a variable and print a variable's value. So if you've already set a variable, but you don't want to use the variable, you want to remove the variable, then the command used to remove a variable which has been set is unset. Okay. So the command usage is like this. You just have to write unset followed by any number of variables which you want to remove. So the first variable they're removing is A. Then the second variable is price. The third variable is earnings January. This is an associative array, which we'll see in upcoming slides. If space is there after B, then also it is an error. Actually, okay, this is a good question. If there is a space after B, then also it is an error because there is no backslash. If there any special character is there, the set command goes like this. There can only be 3 words in a set command, where the first word is your command, the second word is your variable, and the third word is your value. So any of these values does not have any space between them. If there is a space, then it has to be enclosed within double quotes, curly braces, or there should be a backslash character. If it's not there, then it is an error. Yes. Is that okay? So yeah, unset is the command which is used to remove a variable. Next, INCR and append operations. For INCR is a command which is used to increment a variable if it's an integer. For example, if you have an integer, set x to 43. So an integer value has been applied to the variable called x. You can use INCR command to increment the value of x. Thank you. INCR x to 12. It increases the value of x by 12. So 43 plus 12 would be 55. This is what INCR operation does. It adds increments. If no value is given here, if it's just INCR x, then it would just increment the value of x by 1. Okay. And append is another command which is used to add more text. So this is for incrementing a variable value. If you want to add further values to a variable, then you use this command called append. It takes 2 arguments. The append command takes 2 arguments, the name of the variable to which it has to append, and the new text which has to be appended. Okay. So here is an example. Set message, and this double quotes, meaning that message is a variable, but no value has been added to that message yet. And let's just look into what a for each loop looks like, but later we can even in depth see how the loops work. So for each loop works like this. You just have to write for each followed by an index value, any variable here, which has to fetch values from the third component here. 1, 2, 3. This is the value from which I has to take one element at a time. So for each, meaning one element at a time. And then it comes with a curly brace, and you have to type in whatever has to be executed within the curly braces. So in the first loop, I takes the value 1 and it enters append message. So it has to append to the variable message. This value has to be appended. So already it doesn't have any value, but the variable has been set. Now it tries to evaluate this, and $I would take value 1 in the first loop. So 1 squared is EXPR 1 into 1, which would be 1 squared is 1. So this is the value which message takes at the end of the first loop. Then it again enters the second loop where I takes the value 2, and it appends to the variable message 2 squared is expr 2 into 2, which is 4. 2 squared is 4. It takes the value 4. And in the third loop, I takes the value 3 and it appends 3 squared is 3 to message. So after the end of this loop, if you just print $message, this would be the value. And it's printed one, each iteration is printed in a individual line because a new line character has been used here. $n has been used. So when it enters the loop, it sets the value. When it encounters $n, the new line character, the next value which is appended to message would be in the next line. It stores it this way and it prints it this way if a new line character is used. Is that clear?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That puts message should be inside that curly brackets, no, inside that for each loop.
No. If it was inside the curly braces, this is inside the for each loop, this is how it would be. First, it would print this. That would be the value of message in the first loop. Then when it goes to the second loop, it would again print this and this. So the second line would be, first line would be 1 squared 1. Second line would be 1 squared 1 is 1 and the third line would be 2 squared is 4. Then when it goes to the loop third time, it would print all these lines. So each time when it enters the loop, whatever is the value of the message, it would print that. So if we have this puts $message inside, then there would be 6 lines here. 1 line in the first iteration, 2 lines in the second iteration, and 3 lines in the third iteration. That's how it would be. If the way a value, if message was not set by using append command, if it was just a set command, what you're saying is right. The similar result we would see. If it was a set command, we have to keep the puts command inside the for each loop and the curly brace has to be here. But because it's an append command, it's going to hold all the values in a single variable and you have to print it only once after the end of the for each loop. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah. Just to summarize. So to set a variable, we use set command. And this is the syntax it follows: command, variable name and value. To unset and variable, to remove a variable, we have the unset command with variable name, unset command followed by number of variable names, whichever you want to delete. It can be 1 or any number of variables that you want to delete. And the incr command, it works on a variable which has an integer value. So increment the variable by the number which you've specified here. If no number is specified, by default, it increments the variable by 1. And append command is used to append more values to the variable which is already been set. Okay. So these are all the variable manipulation commands. Now, and this is all about simple variables. Now getting into arrays called as associative variables. Array is a collection of elements, each of which is a variable with its own name and value. So let's get into example. So it'll be easy for you to understand. If you want to set
Hello,
an,
ma'am.
yeah.
Ma'am, this meeting is going to end. Can we rejoin, ma'am?
Yeah, or I think you have another interview session at 6. Maybe we'll just close it here. And from arrays, we'll see in the next class. And I would also like you guys to, just go through and bring out if any doubts are there. Then it would be much easier for you to understand the next class. That's fine. Or if you have any doubts until the meeting ends, you can just ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody has got any doubts up to the variables? Still here? Any doubts anywhere?
Ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
ma'am, in the place of append, if we use set, it will again show the error. Is it, ma'am?
It will not show an error, but it would just forget whatever was set earlier. If you use a set here, when it enters the loop second time, it's going to forget 1 squared is 1. It's not going to store it. It will just set 2 squared is 4. It will not throw an error. Set can hold a variable's value. Anytime you use a set command, it's going to set whatever value you have applied at that time. It's going to forget if you have already applied a value. For example, let's just take set A is 2 and set A is 5. When you do a puts of A now, it's going to print 5 and it's going to forget 2. Okay, but if in case you want to set A as 2 and then you want to add another value to it, if you use an append command here, then what happens is it's going to print 2, 5 with a space between. It will take this as a list. We'll look into lists later, how it works, but yeah, it's going to be 2 space 5. This would be the value of A. If you want to take add this 5 in the next line, then just use new line character similar to what was used here. Then it would print value of A as 2 in the next line 5. But it wouldn't throw an error. It depends on the purpose where you want to use it. Okay, if you want all the values to be retained, use an append. If you want to set a new value, then just use set. Is that clear? Fine. So I think it's going to end in some time. You can bring out all your doubts in the next class as well. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.